Happy Monday, everybody. Hope it's going well. Can't wait to chat with you all. Let me just get through this little improv performance here. Alright, y'all, how's it going? Happy Monday. Thank you for joining me today. We're gonna have a lot of fun today because I've been working on this setup here. I've been having a lot of fun with it. This is a concept. This setup has been a concept in my mind for quite some time. Focus. All right. Whew. That was a lot of fun. A little improv. I'm finally getting this. Oh, that's still going. Hey. All right. Stop. Everything stop. How are you all doing today? Thank you for all being with me and hanging out with me on a Monday as usual. Let's get some tunes going here. Hello. Thanks for being here with me today. How did that sound, by the way? Were we clipping it all or anything? Did it sound good? Hopefully, yes. I don't know. But it's Monday. Welcome, everybody. We're live every single Monday on this channel if you didn't know. So it's worth, just subscribing and turning that notification bell on for live streams alone. That won't annoy you. You'll just know exactly when we're going to be live. Oh, yes. This setup here, my friends, this setup has been a concept that has started from a mere sketch on paper. And this weekend I just, weekends are for the experimentation. Don't you agree? I do like to be sort of doing some non-structured type stuff on the weekend. So if I can put together like a big group of collection of gear, over the weekend and just do some experimenting and leave space to not, do such rigid work. Sometimes I gotta make videos, I gotta make stuff where I gotta try to be an expert on things, I gotta explain things perfectly, and then on the weekends I gotta just leave space to try and fail at things if possible. But surprisingly though, this setup came together quite easily and quite well, and I'm gonna talk about it today. Break down how everything is routed, what's controlling what. So if you have questions about this setup, definitely keep them in your back pocket because we're going to get into that in a bit. But I do have some new stuff to talk to you all about. We got some community events and stuff happening like that. Thank you for all the compliments. No clipping. Sounds good. Appreciate you. Hello, old gamer. I'm doing quite well. Thank you for asking. How are you all out there? How's the musical creative world out there? How was your weekend? Anybody get into some cool creative projects? We talked about them a little bit in the Discord. Saw some of you getting into some stuff. I know Beta Run is in limbo of moving between places. That's always fun. What's up, Guitarist 1988? How's it going? Have you ever used a TB303? No, I have not used a TB303. I'm slightly new to the hardware game. So even this setup that we're working with today is a bit of a hybrid situation where I'm using it with Ableton Live, but these hardware pieces are working quite well. So I'm kind of stoked on what I got going here. Miro says, why did you change your mic? And what mic is that exactly? It looks like Lewitt. Yes, it is a Lewitt. It's the Lewitt Ray. I switched to this mic because I did want to switch to a more brighter, crisper sounding condenser mic. And also this mic is perfect, especially for my broadcasts here, because it's got like the Aura technology. So if I move back away from it, it kind of is doing a little bit of work to keep the gain up, even though I move further back from the mic or if I get closer to it. So the character of my voice will change, but the level shouldn't change that much, if that makes sense. It's also got a mute button right on it, and I can also mute by distance. So it just has like very cool it has very cool settings specifically for broadcasting. Pascal says setup looks good. No need to put so much pressure on yourself. Some channels just focus on gear reviews, some on how to use it, and some just jam. You do it all. Thank you, Pascal. I've never thought of it that way. I appreciate it. I think that's true. I don't know. What do you all think? Is that true? I guess some folks do focus just on reviewing gear. Some people just do performance. There's some I guess there's some who do it all, right? I think that's an important part of my channel. I want to not just talk about like, oh, the Launchpad is good because it's this kind of MIDI controller and blah blah blah. I want to show you what can be done with it. So I think that makes my perspective stronger if I'm actually working with it rather than just like reading a manual off to you guys, which I feel like some of the worst reviews kind of are. Kayla saw Vampire Weekend over the weekend. No music creation. That's okay. You were deep in your inspirational time. Have you heard of Larry O? If so, would you go on his podcast? I've heard of Larry O. I haven't listened to his podcast, but I'm always down to have creative conversations. What I find is a lot of these guys have, and I don't know that this is true about Larry O, I don't fit in, I feel, in the music production community. I feel like it's a very strange thing to articulate. There's the folks that are like very, very technical. Like, do you guys know who like Devon is? Devon, he has a podcast as well. Very popular producer podcast. But one time I saw him, I was walking through NAMM or something, and he was doing some event speaking about something, and I remember this so clearly. He's like, you know, Baby Audio had a great year with this plugin, this plugin, this plugin, and I just like don't have an interest in keeping up in that way. You know what I mean? A lot of these people, Sanjay included, are like really good at keeping up with the newest and latest, greatest things, and sort of approaching this whole thing from, I don't know how to describe it, but I kind of just want to take what comes to me and then use the tools that make music fun. You know what I mean? Not so much about, you know, keeping up with the latest and greatest stuff, which obviously there is a great place for. Some people are very, very good at that. I don't know if I'm making sense. Oh, Krios decided to get an Aria T8 instead. Interesting. What's that bringing to your musical life? Your musical setup, I wonder. Thank you, Penny C. Very kind. Thank you, Beta Run. Thank you. Everybody's so kind. Is the mic good for singing? Good question. I think yes. I haven't used it for singing, but if you imagine you have a vocalist where you're moving around a lot, It's going to kind of keep that level in check. So maybe you have to do a little less compression at the end of the day based on movement if they have good dynamics. Otherwise, thank you. I wanted to point out as well, this performance surface that I have today, it's not really meant to be on a desk. This sort of like, it's a black sheet of metal here. And I've linked it in the description. Let me bring it up and show it for you on the screen, because this is really what pushed me into setting this whole thing up. Let me share my screen. I have too many windows open. I'm going to bring the music down in the background because it's distracting me. So, what do we have here? The X Pro Performance Surface. That's what I'm using today. I'm using it on my desk, which is dumb and not how you're supposed to use it, but we're streaming, so we gotta show it off. But this is a cool new thing from Analog Cases. It fits on a keyboard stand, which I've got my keyboard stand right here, which is where this whole thing usually is. But I was kind of being mobile with it this weekend. I was moving around my house a little bit, going down into the living room just to get out of the studio for a bit. But it's a very cool system they got here, because you can just take your pre-existing keyboard stand and throw this on top, and then it's got sort of a locking mechanism where you can tighten it and adjust it, so whatever height or whatever you're at. And then, as you can see here on mine, you can see it kind of better in these pictures. You're not looking at my screen. Here, let me show you my screen instead of being a fool. So it's got these holes here where you can safely sort of run your cables. And this is the lock that I was talking about, which I just totally didn't share my screen. But yeah, check it out. See the little holes down here? This is one of the locking mechanism things. But I got all my cables running through here, which is very cool. This whole setup's just like a bundle of USB cables, but they all run to 2 hubs. So to connect to the computer, it only uses 2 ports, which is cool. But yes, the X Pro Performance Surface, that's what I'm rocking on today. Y'all know what it is. Let's check in with this poll here. People got a sweet spot for live performance setups. It seems like 2 to 3 pieces is the sweet spot in the poll in chat. So 42% of people said 2 to 3 pieces of gear is good for a live setup. 4 to 6, 30% of people said 4 to 6 pieces is a sweet spot. 1 to 2, only 15%. Not a lot of minimalists in the audience. And then not a lot of maximalists either, but 11% did say 7 pieces or more of gear. And here on this setup, what do we have? 1, 2, 3, audio interface under here, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7. So I fall into the minority here. Very interesting. I said 7 plus because the style of music may require different things. That's true. That's very true. Yo, Dungeon Master, what's good? Let me learn how to read for a second. I got started with a similar setup a few years back. I love the Arturia stuff and Roland Boutique stuff. Yeah, it's really easy to start building stuff out with the smaller gear. Synth, drum, MIDI controller, sequencer, effects. Yes, that's a good way to break it down. That's why I started with a sketch before I really started going for it. It's that nice and blinding white light right there. So, a couple announcements before we start talking about the real gear situation. Our community event has launched. We have launched a new community event with highnote.fm. Many of you already know this. I've shouted it out on social already. But please, I would love to have you in participating in the Ghost Wave Challenge. And if you all have questions on this, please ask them now so I can make things very, very clear. So this is in collaboration with High Note, IK Multimedia, and Baby Audio. We're giving away a bunch of stuff to winners. Actually, we're giving away, IK Multimedia is giving, they have a specific plugin that they're giving to everybody who participates. And then there's a prize package for first, second, and third place. So I want to challenge you all to make Ghost Wave. If you don't know what Ghost Wave is, I've kind of talked about it a lot on this channel. Ghost Wave is sort of my genre, what do I want to say? The name I gave to the genre of music that I aspire to be making. So I kind of like am making a new quote unquote genre of music. Just a thing that helped me hone in on my own style of music. So I'm challenging you all to make Ghost Wave. That is the challenge here. Here's a little description on this page. I just dropped it in chat. Evokes some sense of nostalgia, lo-fi characteristics, vocal and degraded tape processed synth sounds, haunting feel. Like it's being communicated from another dimension. That is the prompt here. So I'm very curious as to where you all will take this, and I'm looking for your interpretation of it. I wouldn't say there's right or wrong, but I will definitely respond. I'll probably respond better to some interpretations than others. So anyway, you go to here, you get a bunch of samples that you can download. These are samples from, like I have a raw materials folder basically that I use to make my album, that I use to make my ambient album as well. This is just an example. So some of these samples are like very, very long. So I expect you to just take these and run with them. Some of them are a little odd as well. Very curious to see what you come up with. So step 1, download the samples. Step 2, make your track under 3 minutes. I know how y'all like to make like, oh, I made a 7-minute evolving sound piece. No. Under 3 minutes. When is the expiry date? You must submit your track by July 1st. So you've got plenty of time. Get working. Go to the site, download all the samples, check out these prize packages. Let's start from, first let's start here. All entries will receive IK Multimedia T-Rax Black 76 Limiting Amplifier FET Compressor Limiter Plugin. Rolls right off the tongue. Third place, there's this great bundle. IK Multimedia, bunch of plugins there. Baby Audio Atoms, that's a great plugin. And then a year of High Note. I'm going to talk about what High Note is in a moment. Second place, another great bundle and another year of High Note Pro. First place, here's where things get interesting. You're going to get this huge bundle of stuff. Baby Audio Complete Bundle. IK Multimedia Total Studio 4 Max all-in-one bundle. Rolls right off the tongue once again. A year of High Note Pro. But the sweet sauce on top of that is we're going to do an official collab together during Beattober. So we're going to work together on a Ghost Wave track that we're going to put out during Beattober. And my plan for that is whoever wins, whoever's making the best. Think of this as like your audition track for our official collab. So whoever I pick as the winner, we will collab on this track. We'll release it during Beattober, and we'll have like the proceeds go to the charity, if that makes sense. All the deadline and information stuff is here. You got to go to this page. And by the way, when you go to this page and you participate and you get High Note, you will be able to access our Discord. We have an open section of the Discord called the Garden, the Community Garden. Anybody can join the Community Garden section of the Discord and participate in this challenge. Maybe I should actually drop a link to that now so you can get in, and in case you get lost after the stream, you can find your way back. Let me find... Discord is such a nightmare. Server settings. How could I possibly invite people? There's got to be something called invites. There is. Okay, here we go. How do I use this invite? Streamer mode enabled. I guess I can't. All I want to do is invite people to the Discord server. Invite people. All right, so you can use this link. You can get in the Discord server, and usually our Discord server is only for members, but we have an open section of the Discord called Community Garden that we use for these kinds of events. So I've just dropped that. Our Discord is a very fun place. But yeah, you'll be able to access the rules of the garden channel, garden chat, and also you can ask for help if you need help. We got heart-shaped strawberries growing in the garden from Arnie. All right, but let's quickly talk about High Note because I think it's really cool, and that's why I wanted to work with them anyway, and I thought they were a good partner for this. So usually when I'm working on an album or I'm working on music, I just upload it to Google Drive, download it to my phone, and listen to it. But that is not a very ideal situation because what I'm doing when I'm making an album is taking notes, trying to make the mix better, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what systems you all use. But High Note is actually a better version of that, where you can upload your music to a space and you can take notes right on it. People can even leave voice notes on specific timestamps. You know how on SoundCloud the comments pop up at a certain timestamp? It's that, but for like taking notes and making the music better. Voice notes, text notes. You can keep versions of every different song, all that stuff. And of course, they have a free tier. So I want you all to give it a try if you can, because I think it's a cool tool and I hope it will help some of you. But yeah, you can put all kinds of files and stuff in here too, not just your music. So if you're working on artwork for an album or you have Spotify, Canvas, MP4 or something, you can put it all into one place. So anyway, this is the mechanics by which we are doing the competition. So y'all will upload your tracks to here, to High Note. And I'm actually going to be leaving feedback on the 10 of my favorite entries. Then we'll have the top 3. You'll also get feedback. But the number 1 will get the collab. Make sense? Any further questions? This new competition has dropped. I'm very excited to see what you all come up with. 50 gigabytes of storage to start. No credit card required. We love it, folks. We love to see it. Give it a try. Mess around with it. Upload some of your music to it. Take notes on it if you're trying to get your mixes better. All that good stuff. And the last thing I want to tell you, Dungeon Master, this is where you come in, is that next week we are going to do another track review stream. Another track review stream. Get excited. So if you got music that you've been working on, get ready. Because next Monday, same time, same place, you will be able to submit your music for feedback if you are a channel member. So as soon as Dungeon Master posts a funny GIF in our track review submissions channel on Discord, we will get... You can submit. So if you're already a member, you can upload, you can add your links to the Discord now. If you're not a member yet, you can hit the join button, become a member, support the channel, get into our Discord, and submit your music. Cool. Nigel says, I've been watching your commentary videos about the future of music, Spotify and stuff. I find them insightful. Thank you for your wonderful content. Thank you. I like to put those videos out once in a while. I feel like my channel is just confusing for people. Someday we're working with a bunch of gear. Sometimes we're talking about the news. I feel like people are like, no. You have to be one thing or the other. So I thank you all for supporting the range of content here. How many samples from your pack do we have to use in order to qualify? You can use as many as you like. There's no set rule on that. And remember, as usual with all of these challenges, don't make up your own rules. That happens often, that we do a competition or a challenge and then people make up some sort of rule for themselves. Oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. As long as what you're doing is in the spirit of the challenge, aka use these samples and then make this genre, keep it under 3 minutes, then you're good to go. What's up, French doors to the deck? What's on the agenda today? We're going to be going over this setup here. And sorry for the janky angle. I don't know, is this angle okay for you all? It's kind of the best I could do because the straight up overhead did not fit everything in the frame. And then I have this other angle from over over the shoulder, but this one is also not ideal because my arms will block it. So check this out. Oh, and it's green anyway. So that one's just not going to work out in general. I think the cable gets disconnected or something. I don't know why it turns green. Been a subscriber for a bit. You taught me how to use Ableton to the level that I can. Just want to say thanks. That 90s guy, thank you so much for your support as a channel member. And thanks for saying that. I'm glad to hear that it's helpful. Before we get into the gear and stuff, if you have any questions about anything at all, could be about our competition, could be about submitting music for feedback, could be about some gear that you have, ask your questions now, and then we will get into this gear setup. What cameras do I use? This camera you're looking at is an A7 IV, Sony A7 IV. This camera is a Lumix GH5. And the camera up in the corner that's green at the moment is a Lumix G85. I used to use Lumix cameras a lot, but I don't really like them. They work fine for the streaming purposes now, but the Sony A7 IV is my main camera. And this, my ultimate favorite camera, actually, if I'm going out anywhere and filming any kind of on-the-go video, the Osmo Pocket 3. That is the way to go, I feel. I love this camera. It looks great. I can control it with my phone. So if you imagine I got to set up my camera somewhere to film me making some music, I can control it with my phone and move the camera around and stuff. Very cool. I had the Osmo Pocket 1 a long time ago, but they finally really, really improved the picture quality on this thing. If it's changing color, it's the cable. Good to know. It always does that, but I also have things running through a switcher, so I think it could be switcher related. I got switchers on switchers in this studio. Good morning, Celestine Prof. I hope you're doing well. I did have a good weekend. What did I do this weekend? I worked on this setup, obviously. Anybody watching the Acolyte, by the way, the Acolyte's great. If you're here to hate on the Acolyte, prepare to be banned in chat. I have a question. Have you ever heard of Cherry Audio plugins? A friend of mine recommended them to me, and I wanted to know if you had an opinion on them. I do not have an opinion on them. Let me do a quick Google search to make sure I'm not forgetting something. I want to make a video about this, about like before you buy any plugins. Website looks fine. Here's my hot take on plugins is that everybody's making great, useful plugins. And if you try to buy them all, you'll be broke. So how do you sort of like filter out which ones you're going to actually get and which ones look cool, but you don't really need? That's what I want to know. Couldn't decide between the Osmo Action 4 and the Pocket 3, so bought them both and love them equally. Yeah, I could see that being a good pairing for sure. Why is my on-screen situation being funny? Leah, you're cursed. I can't make your chats pop up on screen. Acolyte is the only show that I'm watching right now. Love it so far. Yes, so many haters. If you guys want to have a quick microdose of deranged people on the internet, go to the Star Wars Instagram account, find a post that's about the Acolyte. Actually, it can be any post, but find a post that's about the Acolyte and open the comment section. It's just derangement, absolute derangement out here. And I have to not go and look at that so I don't lose faith in humanity. Oh, for the question on Cherry Audio plugins, Creo says, I use Cherry Audio stuff. Accent Noir also says, Cherry Audio do some great software plugins. Good to know. Accent Noir says there's a Humble bundle with some Cherry Audio plugins. Also good to know. I started choosing not recommend on any channel that hates on the Acolyte. My feed is now so much more positive. That's great. Yeah. It's crazy how people can lean into negativity for the sake of views. Like, even if you didn't like something, I feel like knowing that having a hateful attitude towards something can get you a lot of views influences the stuff that people make, for sure. I think that happens in the music space as well. People know that if they make negative videos about something or someone, that they can get a lot of views and they can get a lot of people upset and a lot of people on their page, on their like same wavelength. Oh, Lo-Fi Panda? Is that by Cherry Audio? Lo-Fi Panda? No, that's by Clark Audio. Very interesting. I just hunt for free plugins now. If there is something I need that I don't have, someone has made a free one. That's a good approach. Something I need but I don't have. So you've already identified the need. That is very important. I do worry about people hunting for free plugins though, because there's no shortage. Bren, what's good, Bren? TAETRO, your disposition is so chill. Thank you. My disposition. Nobody ever comments on my disposition. I think the ghost wave must be reflective of your personality. Oh, maybe. I mean, that's art, right? We're all making things that sort of reflect how we feel on the inside. I talk to people every day for work, and some folks are only content on hating on things. That's why they are. Yeah, the way they are. It's kind of sad. Crazy. Got the V Collection X and stopping there. Not even going to get distracted looking for any others. Oh, V Collection 10. Is that what that means? Yes, that is a good... I think it's these ecosystems that it's like, if you can just get in a good ecosystem, Arturia, Native Instruments, if it's Cherry Audio, I don't know, never use them. But if you stick in an ecosystem, I feel like you're going to get everything you need and your workflow is going to be better because it's going to, all the UI stuff is going to be the same, you know? So you're just going to be faster. You don't have to learn one system, jump to another. All that good stuff. Gotta love the internet. Negative content gets views and people agree with you. Positive content makes people think you're trying to sell something. Welcome to my world, French doors. Welcome to my world. It's so funny because I'll maybe post like maybe 2 negative videos a year. And if I'm posting a negative video, I have to have a real strong opinion about whatever this piece of gear is. And always in those 2 videos, people will say, in those negative videos, people will say, wow, you're so honest, TAETRO. Thank you so much for your honesty. Honestly, props to you for being so authentic. It's like, bitch, I'm being real and authentic every single day. Just because I'm positive about certain things doesn't mean I'm not being real and honest and authentic. It's mostly like, hey, see all this gear? It all sucks at some level. These pads suck over here. This sequencer is confusing to use. This launch pad doesn't have arm buttons. That's freaking stupid. The OP1 is mad expensive. The Novation launch control, why haven't they put a new one out? And why is it so like clunky? TR8S, the navigating the menus is like navigating something from 2010. You see? See how easy it is for me to be negative about every single piece of gear? Am I being honest or authentic just because I'm saying something negative about each of these pieces of gear? Am I being less authentic and honest if I say I love using the Mini Lab because I can scroll to any track that I want and control the mixer view? I love the sound of the Roland S1. The Mini fits perfectly in this setup despite its flaws. The OP1 is expensive, but there's no other device in this small form factor that can do what this thing does. I've had the launch control for years and I love this thing because it's just knobs and buttons, simple and easy, and the TR8S is the closest thing I've had to playing an instrument in electronic music instruments that I've had in a while. Which one was more real? Which one was more authentic? I promise you, if I put out those 2 clips as separate videos, people will say on one, wow, you're so honest, you're so down to earth, saying the truth, speaking truth to power. If I put out the positive one, people just will get bored. It's like, bro, you're not actually looking to become better at music. You're just looking for drama. You're looking to be entertained. Sorry. All right. Sorry for the mini rant. But do you see the difference? Like, in the perspective, like, of course, I could be negative about things all the time. I am a professional music technologist. I've been using music technology for over a decade. I have a professional perspective on this stuff where I can actively critique gear, but actively also appreciate it and use it. Use these as tools. If I wanted to spend all my time strictly on the critique, I could probably get a lot more views, actually. But if I wanted to spend all my time on the critique, I'd be just spending time in a negative space. And I don't see the point in that. Definitely sad for people to craft an identity on hate for something much more positive vibes here. That's what I try. Pilgrim of Light, nice to see you. Thanks for joining. Oh, Krios thinking about switching to Ableton Live. Okay, we're getting a convert here. The OP1 is 2K USD. Exactly. It's expensive. No doubt. And then you get the people that are like, well, it's expensive and it means it's bad. Or you get the people that are like, it's small. Why is it expensive? People think like, because it's small, it can't be expensive. Big thing equals expensive. Small thing equals cheap. Yes, Erod, I'm so honest, but only when I'm being negative. If I'm being positive, I'm a shill. If I'm being negative, I must be being honest. Did you buy those gears or a company sent you? Envy mode on. Yeah, I think I'm very, very clear all the time that all of this gear is sent to me for free anyway. And I never say, oh, I'm definitely going to only say positive things about your gear. Imagine. I just actually signed a deal to do some content with the company. So I signed a contract for, a batch of content that we're going to be making together. I had to send the contract back over 3 times to make sure that that the company has no say over the final review or the final, not review, but the final video that goes out. Had to send it back multiple times to get that. Had to send it back multiple times so that there's like specific language about what I can show alongside this other gear. So making sure that I can show gear that this other gear goes along with well. So it's like, this is part of the process. For something to end up on the channel, especially as a sponsored piece, it goes through a very rigorous process of making sure whatever we're contracted to do, whatever work we're contracted to do, doesn't tie my hands so that I must produce like a puff piece on the work. And first of all, the only reason I would ever even agree to do a video on a piece of gear is because I think I'm going to like it or I think you're going to like it. Most of the time, that filters out all the crap. Occasionally, something I think that I'm going to like and I think that you're going to like shows up at my door and is not meeting my expectations, aka the Korg Chaos, whatever it was. It's a good example of that. By the way, your friendly neighborhood tax collector is here to remind us that don't forget, all freelancers out here, today is tax day if you're paying your quarterly taxes. So make sure to pay your taxes today. What's up, Fernia? Nice to see you. Did you make any music today or plan to on stream? We are making music today, Erod, for sure. We actually opened up with a live performance. So you can rewind and watch that from the beginning if you wish. More like you are only honest when your opinion is the same as theirs. Exactly. Oh, thank you so much, Tax Collector, for watching the Music Theory series. I hope I'm going to add to that soon. Too bad I only have BandLab and not Ableton, though, but at least it's something. It's something. I just got finished teaching a class on BandLab. My high school beatmaking class just kind of wrapped up. A Porsche 911 is a relatively small car, and yet it's expensive. Size does not matter. Exactly. You wanna understand like pricing of products? Go to your supermarket, go to the water section, and tell me why all the water is priced differently. But you don't see people making YouTube videos or about like, oh, if I drank Poland spring water, if I drink Fiji water, people aren't gonna come for you and say, oh, you're a shill, you're a sellout because you're drinking an expensive water. No, because people don't care about that. But if you use an expensive piece of gear, people come out the woodwork to tell you you're a shill. Okay, anyway. I sub because I feel indebted to what you've taught me. I chose you as my teacher because of your positivity. Thank you so much. And please let me know what I can do to continue helping you continue onto that path. That's TikTok talk to obsess over water. Oh, that's true. I think there is a subset of people that actually rage over about the water. All right. Thank you, everybody, for the positive comments. I, of course, am always looking for ways to improve, though. So if you have content that you'd like to see me do or ways I can take you and your learning further, always let me know that. I'm happy to hear the comments, but what's most important to me is that we keep growing and evolving here on this channel. And to that point, I'm going to sneeze in a second. Maybe. Maybe not. Okay. Maybe yes. No. To that point of learning and growing and evolving, I really want to show you all this setup here and break it down for you. Okay, so let me actually show this. How can I show this the best? I'm going to try to show this. Can we see this sketch if I do this? Let me do this and then this. And then, hold that thought. Okay, this is the sketch that I was working out how to get this setup working, what pieces I needed, etc. So I wanted to be able to process my voice with a microphone. I wanted to use a drum machine so I had constant access to the rhythms and the drums of the thing. I needed some kind of MIDI controller to control virtual instruments. I wanted a synth so that at any time I could switch over to this synth and play different types of things. And then I decided I needed the laptop. I was trying to build DAW-less setups for a while, and I realized I was just like kind of holding myself back because the DAW-less was not giving me what I needed in terms of like sequencing and flow and looping and all that stuff. So I needed a laptop. Decided on that. Launchpad is there, of course, that goes hand in hand with Ableton Live. And down here, I have audio interface, or actually my Tascam Portacapture, which I was going to use as an audio interface, but obviously I didn't end up doing that. And let me tell you why. This button? No. This button? No. This button? Okay. So first, let me go ahead and just, I know a lot of you recognize this gear, but some people might not. So let me start here. This is the Roland TR-8S. This is a drum machine. So any of the drum sounds that you hear today are coming from this thing. Basically, I've got 11 parts here on this drum machine. The clock is linked to Ableton Live. So when I'm going to press my space bar, clock starts running. So does the TR-8S. Let me go to an empty sort of pattern here. I can go to any one of these drums and I can start programming them in on the step sequencer. I love that. I love hands-on control of the step sequencer. So let's get a clap in here now. Pop, pop. I can change things like the decay of each instrument and the tuning of each instrument on the fly. Short kick, long kick, and then I have control over the mix. I can just bring down the level of the kick drum, then bring it back in. Put some ride cymbals here. decay. All right, so that is the Roland TR-8S. It's a drum machine. That's where all the drums come from for this setup. Then, moving down here, this is the launch control. This I custom mapped to do different performance effects. So just listen to these performance effects real quick. I can do like a high pass filter, a low pass filter. I can do a beat repeat. And I have this map to turn my drums off and turn them back on. I also have other specific drum effects, like that reverb and delay as well. So this thing still in progress. I'm still sort of trying to map this and figure out the best configuration or figure out things that I want to map to it. Roland TR-8S, launch control. They don't even make this controller anymore. I don't know why. Chat, where did you go? I lost you. What's up, Hail Nomad? Thank you for the 32 months. Reminder to all my channel members that you have a free super chat that you can use every single month. If you hit the super chat button, you can use your member milestone chat, and I can thank you for how long you've been a member. So Hail Nomad, thank you for your 32 months of being a member. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The S1 is ridiculously good for the size and definitely my favorite of the series. Yes, unexpectedly too for me. We'll get to the S1 in a moment. I think next I should jump over to the Mini Lab, just because I think most of you will recognize the Mini Lab. But this is just a MIDI controller. It's controlling the S1 and it's also controlling Ableton Live. Within Ableton Live, I'm going to have to do a little picture-in-picture here for you for a minute. So navigating around the project is a little bit of a task here, but I can use the Mini Lab to scroll through these tracks. You like that? Like that? And whatever track that I land on, I can arm. So let me actually go ahead and arm an S1 track specifically. And now we're hearing the S1 synth. So we're just sending notes to the S1, and I can use the S1 itself to change character. I can even like switch patterns on the S1, which will change sounds. And back to when we were switching tracks using the Mini Lab, when I switch to a track, I can arm it, and then I have immediate control over the mix. That includes send reverb, return delay, and panning. All from the Mini Lab. So the Mini Lab is working out quite well for this performance setup. Pattern, go back to 1. So the sounds on the Roland S1 are saved within the patterns. So if I switch patterns on the Roland S1, I immediately get a new sound. So I could easily have a bunch of sounds loaded up on there that I could switch to. So that's a work in progress as well, doing the sound selection on the S1. If we're talking about Ableton Live control, I'll jump over here to the Launchpad Mini. This is obviously for clip launching and doing loops. So let me just demonstrate that for a minute. If we are jamming like this, drums are going, I can launch that clip. I can launch any of these sounds. That's an empty sound. This track is armed, so I can record this loop now. Now that's a loop. Stop, stop, stop. That loop's gonna play out. And that is how we use the Launchpad. Just really not doing anything special here. Just recording loops. Able to flip the camera horizontally. Unfortunately, I'm not able to do that today. This is a very big setup, so I'm just trying to make it work with my cameras and stuff. But you can see all the gear. It's just a little upside down. All right. Anyway, so the point there is the Launchpad is for looping anything, any track that I arm. Watch as I scroll through with the Minilab. Watch the Launchpad. I'm going to arm a track and it's going to turn red. So I know that that track has a bunch of clips that I can record into. And I can just keep doing that. Easy to make a performance on the fly with the Launchpad Mini. Finally, here we have the OP1 field. I really like the OP1 field in this setup because I can just switch to all these different instruments on the fly. So I've put some thought into which sounds I want on here. It's just like one touch, grab an instrument, and like I said with the Launchpad, go ahead and record that instrument. Very, very fluid kind of process here. And if you're just tuning in now, we did a little bit of a jam. We'll do another jam later today as well. But if you want to see this setup in action, that happened at the beginning of today's stream. Happy Monday. Thank you for the 3 months from Tom Bosher. Tom, thank you so much for the 3 months, and thank you for recently upgrading to the Guardians tier. I appreciate that. Appreciate that extra level of support. Oh, Dustin, hello. TAETRO, is the Minilab set up for controlling devices with its different user profiles? I haven't done anything too fancy with the Minilab. So right now, the Minilab will just control the mix. Well, yes, it will automatically control the device as well. The device that's selected on any track. But I don't really have that set up to do anything special at the moment. One thing that I did glaze over is I do use the pads at one point with this setup. And that is a drum rack filled with vocal samples. Just vocal samples loaded up on here. That's the setup, and I want to tell you all about how it is all, how it's all routed, because that can get complicated. In my original sketch, I had planned to use an audio interface to get all the sound in, because you think about this, I need stereo sound for everything. I need stereo sound from the OP1 field, from the TR8S, and from the S1. So that's automatically 2, 4, 6 signals. Not only that, but this is a drum machine with 11 parts. I definitely want to isolate the kick signal because I want to be able to sidechain to the kick. So that's another level of complication. How do I get an audio interface that has enough inputs to actually do all this? Well, here's the kicker, my friends, is currently I'm not even using an audio interface, even though there is an audio interface hidden under here. Let me show you how that's all possible. All of these devices are actually connected only via USB. They're not even connected via audio. So OP1 field, USB audio, TR8S, USB audio, Roland S1, USB audio. And if you've used USB audio devices, wow, too close. If you have used USB audio devices, we can go to live settings and we can see under audio, all of these just show up. So many of you, if you have a S1 or whatever, you can just plug it in USB to your computer and select it as your audio input device. And you'll be able to play it in your DAW. But what happens when you want to connect multiple of these devices all at the same time? you need to create an aggregate device, which is really easy to do on Mac. I don't know how to do it on PC. I don't actually know for sure if it's possible on PC, but PC users, you can enlighten me. But anyway, here's how to do it on a Mac. I go to the audio devices, audio and MIDI setup on Mac. We go to audio MIDI setup. Then we look at our audio devices. We can create a new aggregate device. An aggregate device, a device that gathers a bunch of different devices into one. And here, you'll be able to see all the different devices that you can add to this aggregate device. And you just check the box next to each one of them, and they will be added to a single input-output device. I've already created mine. So you can see it here. We have the TR-8S with 14 inputs. We have the Scarlett 2i2, which is connected, but I'm not using. We have the OP1 Field with 2. We have the Roland S1 with 2. So now, in Ableton Live, back over here, after I've created the aggregate device, I can select aggregate device. 22 in, 14 out. Now, if I look at some of these ins and outs, I have both mono inputs and... Oh, I should show that actually. So now, if we go to input configuration, we can see all the mono and all the stereo inputs. You might want stereo or mono inputs depending on the device. Obviously for like OP1 Field and the Roland S1, I'm using stereo input. For the drums, I'm using mono inputs for each individual drum. So just take a look at this S1 track, for instance. We can see all the inputs and outputs. Let me go ahead and arm the S1. So if I play the S1, tracks 21 and 22, stereo tracks light up. Meanwhile, if I scroll over to the OP1 and I play the OP1, you can see that tracks 19 and 20 light up. So you just make sure that you set up your audio ins and outs properly for each track. And as you can see, I have 2 tracks for the S1. If I want to record one idea on the S1 and then layer on top of that, I can do that. And I have 3 tracks set up for the OP1, each with the same audio from audio input channel. Making sense so far? Now here, we've got the TR-8S. This is a group track. Let's open it up. Boom. Huge. A huge group, right? You can see that these are all labeled kick, snare drum, low tom, mid tom, high tom, etc. as we go down the list. These all match up perfectly with the track labels on the Roland TR-8S. So, if I play the project, you're going to see this group. Each one of these inputs is a mono input for each individual drum. And here's the kick, or the bass drum. Oh, sorry, you can't see my screen. Run that back. So you can see each of these individual tracks for the TR-8S, each of the individual drum sounds. If I click play, we start to see them light up. Each one is a mono input for the different drums. Snare drum is there. High tom. Right here on track 6. And I'm not doing any of the mixing in Ableton Live because I have the hardware. The TR-8 mixer, it has a mixer, so I can just mix these drums on the fly. I don't have to deal with navigating around Ableton Live or making sure the controller matches up or doesn't glitch out or something. This is all set up. These are all of these tracks are also set to input monitoring, meaning I don't have to arm all of these tracks. I can simply just play and it'll always come through, leaving me the ability to scroll through and arm different instrument tracks. And the drums will always come through as well. All this making sense, my friends? What do we think? Any questions on this setup so far? I could save space by going for the T8. Yes, I have thought about that. I have thought about a smaller alternative to the TR8S. Let's take a look at the T8 for a moment. I do wonder if I could build a whole setup around these compact little things. Let's see. We've got a level for each one. We've got decay and tuning for each one. This is interesting because we can switch what each one of these are. I don't love not having the immediate access to all 8 drums. That's one thing I'll say. So that would be one sacrifice. Because at this stage, if I'm using the TR8S, I can easily edit every single drum all at once. Whereas in a live performance setting, I wonder how disruptive it would be to have to switch. You can see that the bass drum, well, the bass drum's on its own. The tom, the hand clap and tom share a track. The closed hi-hat and the open hi-hat share a track. So that is something I'd be curious about. Not ruling it out, but it is definitely something that's on my mind, is doing a smaller rig and what kind of sacrifices that comes with. Wondering, good question. Wondering if you could do multi-outs from the TR8. Somebody, I can look that up in a second. I gotta go to the bathroom. I gotta pee really bad, chat. What happened? Let me get a playlist going up for you here. Enjoy this live beat from the desert. I'll be back in just one moment. I gotta pee. Snuck up on me, chat. What's happening? All right, I'm back. Oh, I have an interesting thing about guitars to tell you all about in a minute, too. What were we talking about, though? Oh, yes. All right, let's see. Did anybody answer that question? If we can multi-out the... I need to find my chat. Sorry, y'all. I lost my chat for a moment. Oh, there it is. Did I wash my hands? How dare you, Josh West? How dare you ask me that? The bathroom's right there. It's the adjacent room, so I'm not very far from the bathroom. The sounds are pretty limited on the T8. Not a lot of sound design to play with. Interesting. So it's not sample import? Yeah. But they have the TR6S. TR6S. No. Yes? This is a more compact version, right? I think this is the one I was considering. This is more comparable to the TR-8S. Same direct family lineage. I think this would be a decent alternative to the TR-8S if we're talking mobility, similar features. We would still have the switching, I think. Or maybe it's only 6. Is it only 6 tracks? And I think I could get away with 6. It's got the mixer on there, so no problem. We do have to select a track to change the decay, which I think wouldn't be too bad, but it is one extra step. Decisions, chat. The TR-8S is a dream, but I can't imagine like packing up all this gear, but I could. Everybody knows real producers like eliminate, don't wash them. You have to wash your hands, chat. Wash your hands. Did you ever consider assigning 10 of the tracks divided into the assigns out A, B, C, I'm trying to read, and feed them into the exterior in and sidechain the kick in the drummer? I didn't consider that. I'm not sure I fully understand, but my solution I think works pretty well because I just have all my drums separated. So eventually in the future, I might want to add some specific effects to like the top end of the drums. But I do always have that isolated kick signal, which also means that when I pull the kick out on the mixer on the TR-8S, that means that the sidechain is not still going to be triggered. Unlike when you're doing it via MIDI or when you're just muting a track in Ableton Live, the signal is still going to the sidechain. But it's super easy to set up the sidechain now because I can just go into all these devices and grab kick. Boom, and it's there. One thing I'm noticing, chat... Oh no, it's my own user error, I think. Also, I've been upgrading my basic audio processing rack that I might share with you all soon. No samples for the T8, a 909 kick, 808 snare, or something. It's all over the place. Interesting. What's up, Egrice? How are you doing? I looked up the Roland System 1M because Julia Bondar used it, and she is a huge influence to me. What is this? The Roland... What did you say? Roland System 1M? Roland System... 1M. What is it, chat? Let's see. What the heck is this? Oh, semi-modular synthesizer. Sheesh. I'm sleeping on this one. Looks like hands-on control. Why is it modular? Like, why does everything... And what does modular mean, chat? Does modular just mean that it has a rack mount attached to it? Like, what is the difference between this and... Well, obviously there's differences, but like, functionally, what's the difference between this and like the S1? You got control over the synth, you got inputs and outputs. Is it just the rack-mounted situation that makes it modular? It's a rack synth. Got it. I don't want to put my synths in a rack. Am I crazy? It's always been a disconnect for me. You can route all tracks on the TR-8S to the assign out the back. Well, I'm not running anything out of the back. I'm doing all USB audio, so that's just so much simpler. Multi-track via USB, it's a dream. Modular gives you the integration of CV, so you can use the physical LFOs and such to modulate them. Listen, I got enough complications in my life than to worry about control voltage. I don't have the mental capacity to become an electrician. I can barely make it as a musician, you know what I'm saying? Peace and love. Anyway, should we take this for a spin? My thing with this setup too is I want to add live vocal processing. That's why I'm using the Focusrite Scarlett interface there, because I'll be able to run a mic into it. So that is the main thing as well. Live audio recording and processing. And also, one of the main points of this setup is to have a situation where I can sit down and improvise. And I have so many options available to me. I feel like anytime I've tried to do this with just Ableton Live, there's just too many options. I have to scan through a bunch of instrument presets or whatever. I have my whole library of things available to me. Whereas here, I've got my OP1 field, which has eight synth presets that I can immediately choose from. I'm not going to menu dive through this. Then the S1, that's its own limited collection box of sound. Then my drum machine. So to me, this feels like one large instrument rather than several small unlimited boxes, if that makes sense. All Vox processing within Ableton Live then? Yes. There's one MIDI instrument in this setup too, which is the bass. Let me actually just go to that for a moment. So in Ableton Live, we have the bass instrument. So if I navigate over to that with the Minilab, that's just an Analog Lab instance. So I just always have a bass there. The refinement I'm doing is trying to get the sound selection down and make sure that I have the right sounds loaded up in this. And I could also make variations of that as well. So how much pre-planning do you do for a live performance if it's not all improvised? That is sort of what I'm building towards. That's a good question, Accent Noir. So basically, I want to be able to improvise during the right... how do I articulate this? I want to have this set up so that I can improvise during my writing process. But that improvisation is built around performance. So if I improvise and end up writing something good, I want to save that and then build up that idea as a real song. In which case, I'll have pre-planned sort of... I'll have like a game plan. I'll have a pre-planned sort of song that I can reverse engineer and improvise and build again, and then make another version of that song. You know what I mean? So it's like partially planned, partially improvisation. That's my sort of like dream with this setup, I guess. So-called jamming. Yeah, kind of like jamming. I want to get it to a little further from complete jamming and complete improvisation to have like a really good song, really good songs that I can move through and play. So starting with a setup that's based around performance, where in the past my production has been so in the box and so just like tailoring every single little piece or whatever. If we start from a performance setup perspective, then the output of the music will be more easily replicated for a live performance. Is the live setup saved as a new template, or do you save the setup per song? I haven't saved any templates yet, but I will do that eventually. Right now, I just have this project called Performance Rig. And I haven't... Once you save a template, like... There's no point in saving a template until you're like 100% sure, I guess is what I mean to say. So I'm just saving it all as a project, and you can see all these clips down here. These are just like ideas from previous jams that I've just kept and moved down. Every time I do a jam, I'll, move the rest of the clips down, down, down. I guess we can put this here. And I just kind of preserve them for now so I can remember and come back to them and maybe develop the idea again. I also need to do like a little bit of thinking because this drum rack here, these are all vocal samples in the key of G minor. So if I want to move to a different song, say a song that's not in G minor, I need to get more samples and I need to build a way, likely with the chain selector, to move into a new set of new set of samples. And then I want to add, performance effects for each one of these tracks. So do I group them? Do I group all the OP1 tracks and then put some effects on this group? If so, am I sure that I want all of those to be affected at a single time? I don't know. I'm probably overthinking. I think mapping a Minilab profile specifically for the S1 would be cool to see. Yeah, I've been thinking about making some custom templates for the Minilab because a lot of people liked my launch key mini template for the Seek track. So now that I was getting into that, I was thinking first of doing a Minilab template for the Seek track, but also doing a Minilab template for other synths like the S1. So I'm right there with you. Improvisation is almost writing in real time. Yeah, exactly. And I'm trying to get better at that because you're right, it does take practice. I was in a bad mood on Saturday because I was jamming with this. Like I had figured out the mechanics of this setup, but the music wasn't coming out. So now slowly over the weekend, I started to get more comfortable with the setup so I could like execute my ideas more comfortably. So maybe like a set list, but just with melody rhythm combos. Yeah, like what's important with this setup, this kind of setup where it's based around looping and things like that is I know my attention span and I don't want people to get bored. So if you're building a song up piece by piece by piece by piece, you can only do that for so long until it gets very boring and very repetitive. Now, there's enough hands-on control here where it's like, okay, pull the kick out for a minute or change up the decay on a drum or do some filtering over here. There's enough to keep it fresh. However, one step above that would be to have a scene that you could launch, which would launch a brand new section of a song. That way you don't have to build a loop for every new part of your song, Otherwise, your song now takes 15 times as long. For a live video or public performance, I don't really do much public performances, so I'm definitely going to do a video, but it would be cool to have a rig that, if an opportunity came up, that I could do a live performance, something like that. Exactly, DJ Emo, exactly. Yes, Dungeon Master. Somewhere in between. I wouldn't say it's more risk than a DJ set. I think a DJ, like, if you're on the fly having to go from this song, which is at this tempo in this key, and you want to get to another song that's in a different tempo, a different key, like, pairing songs up together and mixing on the fly, that's very challenging. There's a lot of risk in that for a DJ, I feel, especially since audiences can often recognize the tunes. So this building up entirely original music, that poses a risk because what if you come up with something bad? But having enough, like you said, planned sequences that you can build to and then build from. So I imagine it almost as like alternating, where you do a lot of improv, build to something bespoke, build to something pre-planned, jam on the pre-planned bit for a bit, work your way out of that pre-planned bit into another improv section, and then repeat that process. That would be my ideal flow. Could you use the A-B functionality to change the sounds? The A-B functionality. I think you mean the crossfader? I don't know. I'm not sure what A-B functionality. I would likely use a chain selector and have a bunch of different drum racks loaded and then use dummy clips to trigger the chain selector. That sounds like a lot of mumbo jumbo if you don't know what I'm talking about, but it is a lot of mumbo jumbo. It's like the dumbest way. It's like the worst way to implement like just changing the preset of a track. But you know, we're on Ableton Live 12. I'm sure they're going to work on it for 13. Have I seen Beardy Man's recent rig rundown? No, but I should definitely check that out. I think Polyphia's main problem was trusting a device not to crash. Yeah, and here I don't think there's much room for crashing. I think each one of these hardware pieces on their own are pretty reliable. It's more likely that the computer would have a problem, right? That's what I'd be most afraid of. And with this aggregate device, actually, what I'm finding is anytime something gets disconnected or turned off, the aggregate device has to be reset, or like Ableton Live has to be reset, and you have to make sure your inputs and outputs are selected. We're doing a lot of talking. I want to get back. I want to do another jam, another improvised jam. I don't know how it's going to go. Should we go for it and just see what happens? It's exactly why 90s dance tracks are so long and repetitive. Yeah. People love that music, though. But I'm definitely trying to avoid being super repetitive. All right. Kayla says, yes, let's do it. All right. I'm going to mute my mic for a bit, and then we're going to try some improvisation. So let me try to actually clear some stuff so that we are not, so that we aren't doing anything weird. All right, and I'll go to a starting point. Let's say we're going to start on this instrument. Sure, why not? Just going to keep things simple. If you could flip the setup cam top down, it would be better for viewers. I know, but it's not that simple. I promise if I just flipped this shot to be upside down, it's not going to look like what you think it's going to look like because it's coming from an angle. We usually do the straight up top down shot. However, it's not possible at the moment. Here, you want me to try it? You want me to try to flip the camera? Let's see if it's possible, chat. Let's try. Flipping the camera, real time. Not the camera itself in the software. No, that's not how that works. It would still look bad if I flipped the shot in the software. It looks fine turning my phone upside down. Okay. Look, I'm going to try to fix the camera right now. So everybody see, this could be a disaster or not. We can try. All right, camera. I'm going to cut to this camera for now. All right, let's see. I think we can do it. This is the conundrum I was in yesterday when I was trying to figure out how to show all this gear. But let me see if this will work. It's going to be upside down, though, I feel. Let's try it. All we can do is try. So, essentially, chat, what you're saying is, if the angle was this, it's better? It's better like this? You prefer it like this? Yes? This general angle? It's kind of weird, isn't it? Much better, everybody said. Or, sorry, one person said that. AK10 says much better. Okay. I feel like that's such a weird angle. All right, anyway. Let's give it a shot. I want to give the people what they want. I want to give the people... This is a great angle right now, by the way. Hello? I'm upside down. All right. Let's get this going here. I wonder if this is going to work. All right. Little more to change here. Wasn't expecting the physical flip. Yes. We got to make this work, chat. For your viewing pleasure. Do you see what I do for you? All right. I got to tighten this. Bring this up to like here. Oh. Let's see how long this rig lasts before falling over. Where are we at? Somebody said it's still flipped. What does that mean? Turn your phone. If your phone's upside down, it will be flipped. Flip your phone. Still reversed. What do we mean reversed? How could it be reversed? There we go. That's probably the best I can get. I feel like it doesn't make any sense though. Here we go. Here we go. Center everything. Get those lines nice and straight. How are we looking? See, we usually have a normal top-down shot. For anybody who's new here, we usually have the normal top-down shot. It's like Natalie's talking. It's like Padme's talking. Usually we have a normal shot. It's not really working. Usually we have a normal top-down shot. All right. Whew. How's that? Peanut gallery. Is that good for you out there? Nobody's got to flip their phone. It's a little janky. I feel like it's janky. You think this is better than before? Arturia is spelled backwards. Arturia is spelled backwards. That can't be true. A-R-T-U-R-I-A. I'm looking at it on my screen. Somebody tell me if Arturia is spelled backwards. Wait, Arturia is spelled backwards and Roland is spelled forwards? He means the one on the back side. How could one be backwards and one not be? We're reading from right to left. How could only the one on the back of the keyboard be backwards? This is freaking me out, chat. Did I just prove that we're in a simulation? The one in the back is backwards because it's on the back. It doesn't make sense. Everybody's getting so mad. I think it's funny. It's so spectators are reading left to right. Very interesting. But you all are spectators, so shouldn't you be seeing it from left to right? You're from the angle of a spectator. This is funny. It's funny, chat. It's funny. All right, let's just take my face out of it. And let's see what we can do. The view is good. Okay, listen. Sometimes we just got to do a little bit of we do a little trolling, we do a little trolling. Let's get it going. Muting my mic and let's do a live performance. Be back in like however long it takes to do the live performance. Ask your questions as they pop up and I'll try my best to return to them when the performance finishes. All right, what did we think about that, chat? How did I do? Try to make sure I was doing something different from the opening jam. There were definitely some choices that I could have done better. I think mixing levels on the fly is a little bit of a challenge for sure. Because it's a different idea every time. So one solution I have for the levels, like for the vocal samples, for instance, which are coming from live. Let's arm that track. Some of these samples are a bit. Oh, I gotta come back in with my. Let's stop everything. Some of these vocal samples are obviously much louder than others. But I do have a velocity situation here, so none of them come out too bad. Some things pop up a little too much here and there. I have a fan on me, chat, and I think it's making my throat super dry. What do we think? Lacked lead, in my opinion. Yeah, so I didn't take a solo or anything like that. I definitely could have done that. Another step to improve this I want to take is, in this current moment, we're working off a 1-bar drum loop that I'm just sort of changing on the fly. But this kind of grid of buttons here, I have the ability to swap between. These are essentially, they're called variations on the TR-8S, and it's more like patterns. They're more like patterns. So I want to pre-program some patterns, which I actually already have. Let me see what this sounds like if I switch to a different variation. Let's get some of these loops going again. Switch here. Doesn't fit exactly, but I could definitely pre-program some easy patterns there to just switch to when things get a little stale or I need a little more energy. So there's a balance between the work being improvisational and the work being some of it being pre-prepared in the hopes of a good performance, Levels were good, at least. Okay, good to know. Mixing and volume control is always a tricky thing. That and transitions are areas to take a lot of practice. Yeah, for sure. I will say I didn't expect the mini lab to be this convenient, but it is quite convenient just to know whatever track you're focused on at the moment, you can grab the volume control. And it's not like, that's very different from having like a mixer view where you have, I got to grab track 7's volume. You know what I mean? And I got to remember, what track am I actually on? Is it track 7? And also, by the way, in Ableton Live, none of that matters. Because even if I had a APC 40 or something like that. Let me see, you can't see it because chat's in the way. These tracks are labeled 13, 14, 15, 16. Like, it doesn't even make sense because of the group that I made with the TR-8S. So even if I had like that APC Mini or something like that, or Launch Control XL, it would still be confusing. You get what I'm saying? So now on the Mini Lab, I always know. If I'm on a selected track, that's the volume. I saw somebody say something else about, unpack this, Dungeon Master. I think TAETRO should add a 404 to the setup. Now, I considered this, but I had the same thought that Pascal had. Ableton is doing the 404's job. That's what I want. What I wanted was a way to launch samples, vocal samples, whatever. Doesn't matter. Any kind of samples. And I figured out I would just do that in live. But that did cross my mind, bringing the 404 in. But it seemed like a little bit of a redundant, or just an extra piece of gear that was redundant because I could use Ableton Live to do that. And I've got the performance effects. I can definitely, do more with performance effects there. I wonder if there's an audio input somewhere in your setup, but if after that you suddenly picked up a non-electronic instrument and did a solo, it would be a really good surprise. Yes, there is. Let me get rid of my face. That's exactly what this interface here is for. I'm just not utilizing that just yet. So vocals as well as possibly guitar or something like that. Make it look easy. I know it's not. Well, when you build up a system of tools that you know well, like I'm not doing anything too advanced here. It's just I'm doing it with a lot of tools. I could get rid of the S1 and just use the OP1 field. I could maybe get rid of the launch control and just use the MIDI-Lab knobs for performance effects and things like that. It could be a lot more simplified. But the thing is, it looks complicated, but it's simplified because every device has a role. Every device has a specific role. You know how on a Launchpad, for instance, I can go into drum mode, I can go into keys mode, I can make a user profile? No. None of that. That sounds good. That is good from like this being a nimble tool, versatile tool perspective. But from a performance perspective, I don't want to fiddle with menus. I don't want to switch to a different mode. I mean, it wouldn't be that serious if I had to, but like one device, one function. I love the space and how open it was. It was as if it was inviting me to be part of it. Oh, thanks for that. Way easier to understand with the camera flipped. Listen. Okay. I'm taking the feedback. Nobody can say that I don't take the feedback. We went through a whole flipping the camera situation and y'all say it's better, so it's better. Except Arturia is spelled backwards and nobody can tell me why. It doesn't make any sense. It's like when you look at an ambulance in your rearview mirror, it still says ambulance in the mirror. It doesn't make sense. People talking about using Clifix. Clifix? How do people say this? Clifix? I just feel that Ableton as a company made a software called Ableton Live. And every chance they get, if you call the software Ableton, a person from Ableton will tell you, no, it's called Live. And yeah, it's called Live. So maybe don't make it so I have to download some crazy ass like extension shit to make some good live performance stuff work. You know what I'm saying? So, but I'm sure they're working on it for 13. Harmonica through the microcosm. How about melodica through the microcosm? Yeah, I would love to bring the microcosm into this setup somewhere, somehow. But again, I'm trying to... This is already so many devices. I got to sort of pick and choose my battles. I would recommend adding more stuff in Ableton and then just throwing in touch screen MIDI controls. Yeah, using an iPad or something. It's possible. Yeah, more stuff in Ableton for sure. Like I want to have a whole track that's dedicated to like perk loops, like shakers and stuff like that. I need to add that. Some more one-shots, some more like bells and whistles kind of sounds. Because if you look at the Launchpad Mini right now, let's see. The only tracks that I need to be looking at are tracks that get recorded as loops. So, right now, if I have S1, OP1, OP1, bass, vocal samples, I could move this over one, and that's an empty track. There's no track there. So I could put another track here that could be something else. Yeah, a lot of people use Touch OSC. I'm just not interested in the level of complexity that that's going to add. I don't really feel like I need more control. They really named their music software a generic word that musicians constantly say in many different contexts. Yeah, and then they want to correct you every time and say, no, it's called Live. The software is called Live. And then they want to release Ableton Live 12, and they're like, look at all this like generative stuff. It's going to write the music for you. Look at all this piano MIDI roll stuff that you can use when you're writing music. I'm like, yeah, but it's called Live, right? Where's the Live features? Oh, they're all behind the Max for Live paywall. Oh, you just got one person to develop those features. You didn't put a whole team on it. Interesting. But what do I know? I got an iPad and was trying to figure out how to do that. Yeah, a lot of people did that. I want an unpopular opinion. Yes, what's the unpopular opinion? Well, Max for Live is available in Live Suite, in Ableton Live Suite, which is the most expensive version. I gotta look up this name, Kibir La Amlak. Kibir La Amlak. I'll have to check them out. Is the APC64 really a successful successor to the APC40? I can't find APC40 anywhere in India, and I'm a beginner. I think if you're a beginner, you don't need an APC40 or an APC64. That's the first thing. Second thing is, I don't think the APC64 is a successor to the APC40. I think they're definitely two different things. APC40 is more just for performance, mixing, and launching clips. APC64 is trying to compete with things like the Launchpad Pro, or even like it's trying to compete with the Push non-standalone version. And it does quite well on those fronts, but it's not an alternative to the APC40. So I would say if you're having that sort of, if that's how you're thinking about it, I would say don't buy either of those things. And just learn Ableton Live to the best that you can and get like a smaller controller for now. Unpopular opinion, clips for audio for live jamming kind of sucks because there's no overdub and overdub replace. For everything else, it's cool, like automation clips, MIDI sequence. Yes, I totally agree with you. They've got the looper for that, but yes, I completely agree. But you can just set up multiple tracks. That's the solution. So if you're trying to loop guitar and however many parts you want to record, you have to set up that many tracks, which just gets out of hand. And the looper is not an ideal solution either, because that's not saving your stuff as clips. You can't like erase, you can't like stop it and go back. You can stop it and go back to it, but it's not the same thing as dealing with clips. Should we get Live 12 Suite? What's the minimum level of live you would recommend? Well, if you get Suite, then you have everything and you never have to worry about not having something. However, that depends if you can afford it or not. If you can afford it, get Suite. Why not? When I was a student and I used my student discount to buy Live, I bought Suite. But they have a full chart on. Also, like, if you do that, I'm assuming you're confident in committing to Ableton Live. If you're not confident in committing to Ableton Live, you should just do the trial or just do the cheap version. But if you want to commit, just get Suite, and that's your software for the rest of your life. What's up, KK? Thanks for dropping in. Really appreciate it. Sleep well, my friend. Looks like you're using the Sennheiser HD600 series. They are really mid-focused, probably why you thought the clips were more forward. Good to know, Pascal. Thank you for letting me know. Yeah, I'm using these headphones right now because they have a very long cable. I have another pair from Sennheiser that are more, I think they're 450 HD, some HD 450, something like that. Those are more for music makers. Rest of your life until 13 comes out next month, exactly. What makes you choose live versus other DAWs? I chose it a long time ago. I don't know how I ended up on live, but I was immediately like super drawn to the workflow, like writing clips and doing loops and stuff like that. It's very unique. I also think it has a pretty simple UI. They do try to hide everything behind tiny little buttons, but you know. It's like Berlin School of Designs type shit. Native Instruments has that as well. They all like went to the same class. And they were like, you should make your buttons and icons as tiny as possible. And then you should talk about how much accessibility matters to your company. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. That's another video I'm trying to think about developing, is how to choose the best DAW. Trick question. There is no best DAW. Also, all the Novation gear works really nice, and you get live free with most gear. Yeah, a lot of gear comes with a version of live, like live intro or something like that. And there is a full free 30-day trial as well of Suite. So if you're not sure about Suite, then I don't actually mind Native Instruments UI too much. Their DJ software is really intuitive. Yeah, I've watched some DJ software stuff, and I think you're right. I think the Native Instruments DJ software is pretty straightforward, but then again, it is less involved than all of the ways we make music, you know what I mean? In a DAW. You can also get free, free Live Light with Ableton Note. Ableton Note is their mobile app. Are you still using the Roland VR1 HD? Yes, I am. Let's see. Maybe you can see it here. Oh, you cannot see it here. Yes, I am. It's not a perfect video switcher, but it works for my needs at the moment. I know there's a bigger version. Yeah, a lot of Roland happening here. I didn't even like associate my video mixer with that Roland, but it is. All right, folks. Final questions, concerns, or haikus. That's going to be it for today. We're wrapping up here. I was very excited. I'm going to do like a full actual video on this whole setup, but I have to work my way around it. Remember, please, that we have a community challenge that anybody can join in. If you want to be a part of this challenge, I'm going to drop the link in the chat now. That's not what I wanted to do. Opportunities. Boom, boom, boom. That's our community challenge that's happening. Anybody can join. You get a free plugin just for participating in that. And you can get in our Discord for participating in that. And next week, we are doing track feedback here on this channel. So if you are working on music and you want to get my feedback, you want to get your music played on stream, we are doing that next Monday, same day, same time, same place. You are able to submit music by becoming a channel member. So hit the join button below this video. If you're watching on mobile, there is no join button. You got to go to desktop. Become a channel member. That gets you instant access to our Discord community, and you can submit music. If you're a member, you can start putting your music now in the track review submissions channel. I'm going to drop a GIF right there. And you can start posting your tracks, channel members. But y'all, we are live every single Monday. So if you enjoyed the vibes here today, make sure to tune in every single Monday. There might be more streams popping up soon, other days of the week as well. I got plenty of videos for you to watch while you're gone, live performances and tutorials, etc. Leave me a comment on one of those videos. Let me know you went and watched. And that's going to be it, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all next time. This has been TAETRO. Have a good one.